Hello, welcome back. Right, onto my dad's car, Series IIa, short wheelbase Land Rover, petrol. Enjoy. Get into the crux of it, can you please subscribe? My subscriber rate is dropping, so if you thought you were subscribed, please check. YouTube does weird things. Please like. All of these things help the algorithms. The channel's not growing quite as fast as I might have hoped. It's got good levels of followers and so forth, but I don't think YouTube is pushing it out as much as I'd like it to be pushed out to people that might be interested in this shite. So yeah, subscribe, like, and if you fancy buying me a pint, well, there's a link down there. Thank you very much. Okay, so my dad's had this car for about 1,000 years. He bought this, where are we now? I think he got this in around about 2000 or thereabouts. I will confirm down below. He bought it pretty much when he owned his first place in North Devon with my mum. And all of my boys have learnt to drive in this, as have my two nephews, hence the scars all over it. When I say learn to drive, the first thing they ever drove was this around my dad's fields. I have already rechassied this thing, and I did that back in 2010. So that, I think, if I remember correctly, was a Richard chassis. It was a long time ago, and we stripped the thing down and we rechassied this in a weekend. There was 3 of us. I'll probably do a separate video, but it's going to be all photographs, I'm afraid, because I didn't really have the mechanism, the wherewithal, or even the desire to video it at the time. So I just took lots of photographs. Right, so where are we with this now, and why is it in my workshop? As much as I love having it here, well, it failed its MOT. So here we are. This is the fail sheet. That's the previous MOT down there. This is the fail sheet. As you can see, 77,341 miles. And the previous year, 76,212 miles. So he's done about 1,000 miles, 1,100 miles in it, since 2018. It is MOT exempt. I don't necessarily like this MOT exemption, and my dad has kind of exercised this MOT exemption. I did ask him if he wouldn't mind popping it through an MOT. Let's see where we go with it. This, I think, is how we've got to this position here. So I'm going to rattle through this list, and I'm going to get it to the point where it's MOT'd again at the local station up the road here. Personally, I think there's a lot of hogwash in here. So we've got brake imbalance across the axle by more than 50%. Well, I'm going to sort that out because I'm going to completely overhaul the brakes on this thing, front and back, check all the lines, replace the flexes, probably replace the cylinders. They're all available readily enough. So I'm not too bothered about brake hydraulics because I plan to do that anyway. Parking brake efficiency less than 50%. Well, that's weird because I've only just adjusted this. Oh, it's got the lock on it at the moment. Yeah, well, I'll test that out in a minute. It seems to be certainly locking on. Windscreen washer not working. Really? Windscreen washer. This is actually... Oh, I wonder if it... You know what, Dad? I reckon you might not have put any bloody washer fluid in. I've got to adjust the doors on this thing as well. It's been years since I've really done anything with this car at all. Oops, let's get the bonnet up. Let's pop you here. You can look at me while I wrestle the bonnet open. Hello. There we go. Right, here's the engine bay. As you can see, it's been it's been used around Devon quite a lot. Washer bottle. you know what, Dad? It might help if there was some fucking fluid in it. Right, okay, so screen washers, that's dead easy to fix, because it's only a, a vacuum pump anyway on that. Light's not working. Well, I think the problem here is we've got all these old fixings. So I've got another bag of these, because these were put on about 1,000 years ago when we did the chassis job. So I've got a set of lights to go on it, so I can sort those out. Offside headlight aimed too low, probably because my boy stacked it into something. It's not difficult to fix though, is it? In fact, that one looks high over there, because that's what I might have to do with these, is take the wings off and straighten them out a little bit. There's a big lump of filler in there for some reason. I didn't do that. I have got some panels which I might be inclined to put on these, on this, really just to tidy it up for him. That's a separate job. Brake ferrules excessively corroded, brake pipe likely to become detached. We'll cover all of that off as part of the brake refurb. Offside lower front shock absorbers has excessively worn brush. Offside front steering system fouling. Really? Okay, we'll have a look at that. Steering box has excessive free play detected at the steering wheel. These things always have fucking excessive play at the steering wheel. I'm going to say they're having a fucking laugh with that. If there is much more than about 1 centimetre of play at the rim on that, so I think he's gone to the wrong fucking garage for that one. Parking brake lever again. Offside front leaf spring seriously weakened. Near side front leaf spring mounting bracket corroded, seriously weakened. Offside front blah 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 seriously weakened. Leaf spring anchor bracket corroded, seriously weakened. Offside rear leaf spring anchor bracket corroded, seriously weakened. We're going to have a look at those in a second. Near side front hub oil seal leaking, dangerous. I'm not sure that I'd say that that's dangerously corroded. It's still about 1/2 inch thick. I don't know what to say about that. Did they actually say that the offside front leaf spring anchor bracket corroded and seriously weakened? All right, we'll go over this. Near side front hub, both front swivels leaking badly. They all do that, sir. Rear prop shaft joint worn, but not excessively. Front brake hose has slight corrosion to ferrule. Offside front brake hose has slight corrosion to ferrule. Near side front brake hose slightly deteriorated. Offside, which means they're ready for replacement. Now, this is the interesting one. Front odd springs fitted. I've just been underneath, and they're the same. Right, okay, where are we going to go with this? Because I want to do a fair amount of work on the front end of this car, I'm going to start on the front end and I'm going to rebuild that first of all. I don't particularly want to take the axle off, but I do want to have good visibility to what's going on in here, because I'm going to need to get these wings off to straighten them out and everything. I'm actually inclined to remove both front wings. The loom was replaced on this probably about 20 years ago, and I seem to recall it was an Auto Sparks loom at the time. No reason to believe that it's not still functioning. We'll double check that. Engine's breathing a bit heavily there, isn't it? I'll just have to clean that out. I'll give it a damn good clean, really, more than anything else. It's got a later cylinder head on it, just in case you guys are going, you series boys are going berserk. And the reason it's got a later cylinder head on it, I've got the original cylinder head in my container, but it had cracked between cylinders 3 and 4. The head had cracked, and then someone had welded it and kind of hammered the weld flat. And that was why it kept blowing head gaskets. So we put the Series 3 head on there. And that seems to have kept it going quite nicely. But apart from the obvious shite that needs doing with this car, I'm actually inclined just to go over it and give it a damn good service. and a damn good clean up, and really just sort of make it last another, sort of 20 years or so without too much attention. Now, I'm not a great fan of the spider's eyes across the front, I'll be honest. My dad likes them. Yeah, there's not a lot I can really say about it, is there? I might try and see if we can get them better mounted. The reason being is that doesn't stick on there because it's not steel. That'll stick on there. These rings, they're all kind of hanging out and everything. So let's start with this. Where are we going to start? Let's start by pulling wings off, I think. And then we can start assessing the front end of this. I can load quite a lot of stuff into the back. Here we go. Yes, I can put wings and things in the back here, really just to tidy it up. He is going to put a new canvas tilt on this. It's almost completely worn out, this. Almost. It's got a little bit of life left in it, I think. We used to go up the pub in this up in Devon, and we figured that we could get 4 of us in the back with these old Land Rover seats mounted to bits of wood on the side here. Probably could be done better, couldn't it, Richard? And again, what I might do here is clean these up and give them a lick of paint. These are, I think these are out of the back end of an early Defender. Correct me if I'm wrong, folks. But they do fit. And then Dad wants to keep the cab and the tilt on this. And I've got another bit of gal for this corner because this was just a bit too mangled. Straighten out this rear wing. Really just to give it a damn good tidy up all the way around. But it's not a bad old thing. The other thing I'm desperate to do on this is this door it just doesn't shut. It's an absolute shambles. And it does shut if you give it a damn good slam, but I think what's happening here is the bottom of the door is going in first. If I hold the handle, you can see the door's not going in square, which is why it's not going clunk to close it. We also changed the seals on these because the original seals were just shite. The reproduction, so we put a different style of seal on here, this kind of press-on side seal, and they are far more effective at keeping some of the rain out. Now here's the original style seal on this side, and you can see that's what they were doing. They just weren't sealing it up very nicely at all. Okay, this is not getting us done really, is it? So let's start. I'm going to yank panels off this. They're not particularly difficult, so start by disconnecting the electrics and pull the electrics through the wing. And then you've got a line of fixings down here, which should be on a captive plate. You access the nuts from in the wheel arch. You have a stay bar. You've got a line of bolts down the leading face of the A post and a bolt on the top. And then a couple of bolts down here that go to the side sections. And then the whole damn thing should come off. They're not difficult to get these wings off. Not as easy as the Range Rovers, which is just kind of a handful of screws, but they're not that far off it. When the wings are off, then we can get good access, good easy access to brakes, springs, blah, 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 blah. And we can move forwards then with those areas. Because the key thing for this, I think, is going to be a complete brake overhaul. And that's, I mean, the other thing that I need to do with this is the brakes at the moment. My dad doesn't seem to find it particularly difficult to get this thing sideways on a leafy lane when he's trying to stop. And I've seen him do it a couple of times. I think, what the hell are you doing? He said, well, I started to slide. So I need to improve the system. Whether I sneeze, whether I go for twin leading shoes on the front, or put a reducer in to reduce the effort on the back or not, I don't know. I will consult and feedback. It might end up being twin leading shoes on the front. I have actually got a pair of axles that come off the 82 station wagon that I took apart for bits, but I'm probably going to end up rebuilding. So there's a back axle there, and the front axle's at the far end over there, which will have twin leading shoes on it, and bigger drums, I guess. All of this lot over here is nothing to do with me. This is all to do with the builders next door. And there's my rear axle from a Series 3. Now this is the weather. Flipping cold. Oh dear. That might be a little bit close. There's a mounting broken under there somewhere. I can feel it. So again, exhaust mountings. I'm surprised they didn't put that on there. Let's look at this dangerously corroded rear spring mounting. Let's go get my torch, because I want to just double check this dangerously corroded spring mounting. It's a worry, you know, when you send your car in for an MOT and they tell you that's dangerously corroded. Well, I'll give it a bloody good clean up, but I can't see it. I really can't. I did get under here with the pressure washer. I probably could have done a bit more at the back end here on this rear cross member. That's not a huge issue. Right. Okay, I think. Do I time lapse you while I'm taking this thing apart? I might do. There you go. There, pop that there. Right, and then this chappy come off like that. Oh yeah! Right, now, what have we found? Well, walk through it. So when they said that the hoses were perhaps a little bit past it, I'm inclined to agree with that. I don't quite know how that's happened. Let me get this light out of the way, because this is a bit flickery, this one, isn't it? There goes the other light. Right, so here we can see, yes, there is some issue here. I don't know whether this is brake fluid or whether this is hub fluid. I suspect they may be right when they pointed out that the hub seal is fucked, and that also will account for the brake imbalance, because I suspect when I get that drum off, the brake shoes will be utterly saturated. Now, when it comes to springs, so the springs, as far as I can see, have the same number of leaves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, 10 leaves on that one. We'll go over to this one, and we will count 3, 4, 5, 7. Put me bloody. There we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Ah, 9 leaves on one side, and 10 on the other. But they are handed. Now what we are finding here is that these kind of locking brackets that are on the springs to hold the leaves together, they are corroded, and I think it's those that they mean rather than the shackles. So I'm guessing that just how the manual was put together, so how the MOT manual was put together is what's caused these issues. And the same here, you can see how the kind of the bracket that supports the leaves is what has corroded through. Shackles themselves are in very good order. This is something that I did about 12, 14 years ago. When I put the footwell in, I kind of pop riveted it to the remains of the old footwell. So I probably need to find the spot welds along here and weld that. Won't take 2 seconds to put a few blobs of weld on there to hold that together nicely. So steering is the other thing that I don't really understand on this, because I can't see it's fouling anything. Really can't see it's fouling anything. So I'm going to have to go through and just absolutely double check every single thing on this car, related to the steering, because because we're off the ground, we're not, so we're on a full lock there, and we're not fouling anywhere. Nowhere. And I'll go onto a full lock this way. We're on a full lock that way. And I can't see anything fouling. Oh, hang on a second. Is that touching the brake line, do we think? Is that what they're going on about? Just right up here. Don't think it is. Brake lines are rusty though. So I'm going to replace all these. Some of them are copper, some are steel still. So obviously these ones up here are all steel. So I'll replace the lot. I'll just make up a complete set. And replace the bits that need to be replaced. It's interesting that that hub seal has gone like that. This is one of the problems I guess you get with Land Rovers and hub seals. And then I'm really going to need to go through and get all of this crap off here. I probably need to, really, if I'm taking the disconnecting the front brakes, then I may as well drop the entire axle, sort the springs, the shackles, bushes out, sort the shock absorber bushes out, and then move on to having the whole thing really cleaned up and put back on again. Because really all I need to do, I don't think I need to mess around too much inside the axle, it's the outside. So disconnect the prop shaft, undo the springs, and just roll the whole thing out of the way. I can also double check where we are with the relay. Because this is a galvanised chassis, the battery tray is actually bolted into place, so I can lift the entire battery tray out in order to get access to the steering relay. It's not going to be difficult, I don't think. You don't really need to take the wings off to do this, but I wanted to straighten these wings out before they went back on. And also, not necessarily even thinking about painting, the splash guards. So these are the sort of closing in sections on the wheel arches. They're not in great shape. So they were obviously just lobbed back into place. But the chassis itself, yeah, happy with that. So I don't think we're going to have too many problems here with doing this. I'll get all of the various parts ordered up. Probably going to need to get new steering arms, I would have thought, because I don't know if these are ever going to undo. We'll see. They might need a bit of heat. And then, of course, when I'm rebuilding the swivels, now, again, a lot of mud up here, and the sweep seals do leak, and that's what they're supposed to do. So, to put it down as an advisory saying, both sweep seals leaking dangerous, I think is, it's bollocks, I'm afraid. But that hub, yeah, that's definitely caused a problem there, hasn't it? This is the main reason why I don't like MOT exemption, because had this car needed an MOT every single year, then my dad would have been forced to take it for an MOT every year rather than kind of just casually leave it and not really bother with it. I suppose I'm partly responsible for that, because I was kind of like down in Devon when this MOT ran out when I first set up my business. So perhaps I will take full responsibility for that. But yeah, I think once this is all cleaned up, might need to weld some new brackets onto the chassis, we'll see. Certainly going to need new U-bolts. I'll get all of those ordered up. U-bolts, all of the various gaskets. Once it's all cleaned up, I think I'll see where we are with it. But if I can get the axle off and the springs off, I can roll the whole thing outside and just give it the mother of all pressure washes. And then it can all go back on once it's been painted, some Raptory type stuff, and all rebuilt around new seals, new hubs, not necessarily new hubs, new seals, new brakes and so forth. Yeah, so that's not been bad for a couple of hours work. Like I say, you don't really need to take the front wings off, but I wanted to sort the dents out on them, sort all the fixings out on them, and because I'm doing a work around the suspension, the springs, the brakes, it just makes life easier if the front wings are not there. Hope that makes sense. Right, now what I really need to do is to get this whole thing now supported so that there are axles, sorry, the axle stands are underneath the chassis, probably just aft of where the spring shackle is over there. And I've got some long stands, so I shall lob them underneath there. It doesn't need to be particularly high off the ground, does it? But that should be fairly straightforward, I think. I'll do that. Okay, oh yes, lights. The reason why the offside light beam pattern was too low is because the beauty ring that goes around it, that locates it onto the base, onto the backing, had completely rotted away. So I need to get some new bits there, and I'll probably get the proper headlight fixings here for the early Series 2A. I think that's a 2A panel. Certainly not a 1 panel, is it? But an early Series 2A panel, and I can put some decent lights in there, and that'll improve that. The rest of it, I mean, all my repairs I made to the bulkhead yonks ago. Where's me lamp gone? There's me lamp over there. All the repairs I made to the bulkhead yonks ago. It's all holding up quite nicely. So I replaced the outer skin up here. You can see where there's been a skim of filler, and then I tidied it up. It looks like a flat wheel. Tiny bits of rust along the bottom edge here, which I can tidy up. I had a new A post on it, which, yeah, that's all in. The footwell went in, and that's all looking still quite solid and acceptable. Pedal box, probably take that out when I do the brake lines, because I might need to replace the master cylinder. Clutch, as far as I'm aware, there is no problems with the clutch. And in these steering arms, so I'm not convinced, and I don't know when this happened. Let me just straighten the steering out. So we've got the steering straight. I need to look at the angle of the relay, because there is, when the steering's in the straight ahead position, the steering relay arm needs to be pointing in a certain direction. Now again, because we are a galvanised chassis, and if the battery tray comes out, I might be inclined to lift the relay out and see where we're going with it. This front panel is rusting a bit as well, so that will need addressing, sorting out. And then I might replace some of these bits with galv parts, but they're actually in fairly good order. They're just surface rust on them. And on the other side, again, A post and the bulkhead side panel is all very good. A post, footwell, the only bit on the footwell that I need to do is where you can see the pop rivets here. So there's a remains of the old footwell, and I've obviously got bored with it and just pop riveted it into place. And then the centre section that goes across the middle, across the top of the gearbox. The paint's all flaking off that. But the engine runs beautifully on this, so I don't really want to do anything with that. So it's brakes and suspension really is the front end here. That's all I really need to do, and it can all go back together again. It's going to be a nice little project, isn't it? Now, by the way, nice thing about these things, you saw me take the door off, undo the nuts, take the spring out from underneath the spring of the washer, and you can lift the whole door off. Since I've done that, it shuts nicer. So there is some alignment issues here, and I suspect it's because we've got this door mirror that's been put in behind the hinge and nothing's been put in behind the bottom hinge. So I might need to just create a packer down here to go behind this hinge where it goes to the A post to match that gap there, which is possibly why the door, when it's not, I don't know if you saw it earlier on, but when you close the door, the bottom of the door is kind of reaching its place much before. It's like the whole door needs twisting round. Right. I hope that all makes sense. Steering. I don't understand where the plate is in the steering box. I think when it all comes apart, I'm inclined to check the ball joints and the splines and so forth. So as you can see, we've got a fair amount of work to do around here. Probably start with just taking the battery box out. Give me a bit more room, won't it? The loom can then tuck the other side. This is the rebuilt loom. Not on the agenda, but yeah.